Welcome back to another episode of the B4evaKool podcast. My name is Rex.
My name is TJ with Two Wheels and Coffee.
What's going on, man?
Everything is good, man. Motorcycle season is back officially, we can say.
It is officially
Uh,
back. And, it's crazy because, we might as well just jump right into it because of World SuperBike in Australia. What did you think?
I was looking forward to this weekend, um, all weekend. It was such a great turnout, I would say. Everything that we didn't expect happened, for the most part, especially as far as races on the podium.
Wait.
I'm
So,
sure we probably
are you saying everything we said was going to happen happened, or are we saying didn't happen? I'm not sure.
well, I mean, I'd say in both ways,
Okay.
uh, in both ways, in some sort. But I mean, like you expect the top guys from last year to already figure things out and be on top, and it was totally opposite. Some of the guys that are on top last year obviously finished up front. It was just cool to see different names on the podium each race.
All right. So let's talk about the first race, race one. And on the podium, as you mentioned, right? I think pretty much all new faces,
Um,
right? For
yeah,
race
all new faces.
for race one,
Ioni was up there,
right?
and he hasn't been around for 4 years. Um, what's Locatelli was up there,
Right. Yeah.
and
And the rookie, the World SuperSport winner of 2023, Nicola Bulaga,
Bulaga.
won that. Now, so and I want to go back to the last episode because we did kind of say, if anything was going to happen, it would be the folks that have been on bikes previous year, and we talked about Nicola as far as being on the V2 last year, but still Ducati field, and then Locatelli as on the Yamaha, because he was on the Yamaha last year as well. So to see those guys, especially in race one, right? Because we haven't even got to Super Bowl and race two yet. Especially those guys, right? It was good to see that. It was good to see Anoni do what he did and finish on the podium. In his first race back. Obviously, Jonathan Ray had issues in that race. Alvaro crashed out in that race. It was
Yep.
pretty cool to see the changing of the tire and the new rules and all that, and who took advantage of that. And it'll be interesting to see how that play out through the year. We can talk about that a little bit more. But let's get back to these riders. So it was interesting to see what happened in the first race. So I'm excited for Anone for sure because that's definitely that got to feel good as a rider taking that much time off and coming back and actually fighting.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, from all the testing, he felt really confident, and I'm sure he was just full of ready to go and adrenaline, and felt like he had something to prove. And for him to, and it's not like I don't think he was leading the whole race. He was up front, but he had to battle for it. Um,
Yeah.
but
He was
but
running up
but
front for a little bit.
but for the first race of the season, I mean, what a better feeling for him.
Right.
Uh, so that is for sure a good way to start. Like you said, Alvaro crashed out. But he actually rejoined, and I think he got a point or two.
Yeah, I think
Um,
he did get he did get 1 point.
and Top Rack, finished solid, but obviously not on the podium the first race. So I was looking at my guy Gary Gerloff. I think he finished 11th or
Right.
somewhere around there, 11th or 14th. So, but Jonathan Ray obviously didn't have a good start for the first race.
Yeah, no, he did not, and it seems like he's still having issues. And then, no, what did you think about? Yeah, so let's talk about that. The changing tires, the pit stop in between. Do you like that concept? Do you think it's going to make it Obviously, there's more pieces in the race now because they have to change the tire in a fast manner, right? I mean, they have enough time. Seems like they're changing tires pretty quick, and the riders are waiting, right? So it's not like they can run in time, but somebody could make a mistake, right?
Right. I mean, I actually do like the concept. It's a little different. I mean, obviously it reminds you of Daytona. Um, but I don't know if it's like the to keep the tires with enough grip so it's less trouble in the end. But
I think
also
that's what it
I was a
is.
little I would think I was a little confused on the timing though, because they told him not to rush it and you can't be in there too soon or too long. So I don't know the exact time
Exactly. I
limit.
think I think it's a minute and change, like a minute 28, 30 something. So that's why you saw at the people were coming out of pit lane and stopping before they came out because they had to wait for their times to count down, and they have a
Yeah,
timer on the bike. So that's so if your team changes your tire quick enough, then you're out there waiting.
yeah, that happened to Top Rack. So when he changed his tires, he came out and he literally went to the line and stopped, and like three bikes passed him, and then he jumped on. I was like, wait, what?
Right.
Um,
And
I
it
didn't
was
know if it was too soon, or where is his timer? Is it on the bike or
Well, everybody has a timer on their bike. So if for you,
right?
when you put in and the timer will start counting down, and you'll get to see that. So it's up to you to pay attention to that, right? And not pull off too soon. Now I did see, I forget which rider it was, but I think it was on a Yamaha, I believe, that crashed out after the tires being changed because you're waiting for your tire to get at a temperature. And
Right.
he was beside himself after that crash. I think it was Bradley Ray. So there's definitely these riders are going to have some things to get used to. But from an entertaining perspective, I don't want to say it's a little confusing. But when you got two laps where you don't know who's in the front, right? Because people are staying
Yeah.
out, or two or three laps depends on how long people stay out for. So you have that transition that's happening that obviously these people are professionals and they'll have it figured out way better than I would for sure. But that was the only thing I would probably say. It's kind of you don't know who's in front.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, as long as you're paying attention to the full race, I mean, you have an idea, but it is a little tricky when someone jumps off and, like Locatelli, he stayed on.
Right, exactly.
Um, I think he did and two additional laps or something like that. And when he got off, it was just a little confusing until obviously like the last five or less laps, you would know generally who is going to be running up front and
Right.
fighting for the win.
Yeah. So
So I
so
don't know if that's going to be every race, but I thought it was pretty cool, and hopefully the commentary will get better so we can understand. Like maybe they put on the side grid or something, like who's
right.
actually in the lead, and then the times that are running, so the viewers can understand.
Yeah, I think they will figure that out. But that would be my only complaint about it. And as far as that, it was fun to see. I think the issue with I think one of the reasons, and I don't know if it's the main. I know that Australia, Phillip Island, they had their whole their track resurface. So I don't
Yeah,
know if it was just for them or just for the run of the season. Not quite sure yet. But I think they'd rather incorporate this pit stop than they would having a rider struggle for 5 laps with no grip, right? Because I think you saw that a lot last year. Once people lost grip, they just fell off the side of the mountain.
I mean that Phillip Island has where Batista fell. That corner right there is you need a lot of grip there. So I don't know if that's probably one of the issues.
So, well, it happens. I mean, it is a first round back. I'm still rooting for Ducati. Ducati did fairly well overall for the weekend. So we can touch on that a little bit later after we talk about the sprint and race two. But let's get into the sprint because that was again from the last episode when we talked about the guys that could capitalize because even and the first race Sam Lowe's was close, right? I mean he was up there in the first race as well, and he just didn't finish as in the top three. But you saw what he did in the sprint, and man, right?
Yeah, I mean Yeah, who would expect the Kawasaki to get up there like that?
One, one.
Yeah. So he's
And
talking about yeah, Alex Lowe's.
yeah, my bad. Yeah,
He
Alex Lowe's on
yeah,
the Kawi, not on the Ducati.
yeah.
But yeah, and again, he's one of the few Kawi guys that's been there, right? He's probably been there the longest now on the Kawasaki versus I forget his name now, not Bastianini, but I always forget his name. But the new factory rider, it's he's gonna have some figuring out to do because going from that V4 it might be a lot different than the inline four for him.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I like the sprint or the super pole, you can call it.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
I say
I
sprint.
mean, it was half distance. They didn't have to change tires,
Right.
so it was
Bassani,
just
sorry, boss.
basically the
Bassani.
yeah, yeah, Bassani.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the sprint was cool, and I mean, Top Rack finally got on the podium, so that
Right.
was cool for him too. So BMW finally got their first of the year.
And the B
Uh,
and all the BMWs are looking pretty good. I mean, I
oh yeah,
they're Gerloff did a lot better in the sprint, and I mean the Super Bowl. I keep saying sprint because I think of Formula One and MotoGP, but and did a lot better, and so to see the BMW to hold its own against the Kawi up top because the Kawi is known for that, and also Ducati, they got to feel good over there in Germany.
oh yeah. I mean, to from where they stood last year, you want to continue your pace. Basically, you don't want to see a drop off. So it's good to see them to continue to improve. I think it's Ducati season, like you said. I mean, you've been rooting for Ducati for a couple of years now. I mean, starting to see the light.
Longer than that, man. Since I had since well over 2012. It's been a while now. I've been rooting for Ducati. But
Um,
it is nice to see them where they are, and I know people want to dethrone them as quickly as possible. But I say this to go back to BMW. It's from Ducati, and if you're a Ducati fan, we know the struggles. We know the struggles, and BMW is trying to get where Ducati is right now. Kawasaki's been there for a little bit. Yamaha's been there for a little bit. The Honda's trying to get back there. So it has to feel good from a manufacturer standpoint, from a team perspective. You got guys now that have finished. When you look at the overall weekend, BMW and Ducatis, those were the most bikes in the top 10. So that has to feel good for BMW, and Ducati fans, they love what's been happening the last couple of years. So to see that, and I'm a fan of the S1000RR, so I'm a fan of that bike. And to see, because you see it at track and you see it on the streets and stuff like that, and to not be as competitive as in the last few years, or they may have had a track here, a track there where they done well, but for the most part, not being competitive like this, it's too soon to tell. Obviously, it's the first weekend, but you know, we got to deal with them.
yeah, I mean, definitely once we get to like more tracks that have straightaways and where different bikes can take advantage. Um, it's good to see it's good to see the BMW. I've never ridden one, and seeing them at local tracks, it's cool to see them things go around.
Right.
Because
Yes.
it's different. Everyone runs like the Ducati, Yamaha, roughly. But I know for this weekend for World Superbike, the Yamaha crew gonna have some work to do.
Yeah, a little bit, right? Yamaha a little bit because Locatelli was, he finished second, right, and he was doing well. So I think that Jonathan Ray, he'll figure out the bike. These other guys on the Yamahas, they're gonna have to come up. Remy's gonna have to step up, right? He
Right?
finished sixth in the Super Bowl. So a good versus crashing out in the race one, right? So I
Well,
think
he got taken out race one. That
he
was bad.
right, yeah, he did get
That
taken
was
out, yeah. Yeah, he did get taken out for that. And so, you used to see, so I think the Yamahas are in the same place they were last year. So, and they finished two last year, right? So, these like we said in the previous episodes, these riders are going to have to step up. Especially ones that have been on the same manufacturer for a couple of years now, because
Right.
they're the ones that's going to have to. They have the most seat time, and so what I see so far is like, yeah, some people are saying, yo, this is my chance. Maybe I jump out front and I might be able to stay out front. And so, yeah, so to see Gardner do that, Al Zagier to do that as well, because he finished eighth and stuff like that, is pretty good. And I think like Lowell will get there. I mean, Reyes will get there eventually on it as well.
Hope
So
so, because he had a terrible weekend.
he had a terrible weekend. He did. You know what I mean? I forget what he finished in the first race, but he finished 10th in the second race, so in the Super Bowl. So, and again, you see Lowell's that jumped out and won that race. Even Sam Lowe's, right, as another rookie, he finished eighth in that, and I think he finished fourth or fifth in race two, and so these guys are in the right position. So for Yamaha, I think for them, I think they still gonna need more power under that bike. I think the benefits of the Yamaha is going to be the turn in, and you see that and stuff like that. But I think where you need the horsepower, the tracks that horsepower matters. I think you may see Yamaha struggle, where I think BMW and Kawasaki and obviously Ducati won't struggle.
That's the vision I see right now as well. Um, like we were saying last episode, yeah, like Locatelli, it was really good to see him perform well. But we were saying we had the question if the riders who are on a new manufacturer, if they're gonna start off well, or if the riders who's already been on one, and you saw it uh, with Jonathan Ray not having a good weekend, and Locatelli doing pretty amazing. So
Yeah, exactly. Which is pretty cool to see. I will say this: penalties, right? They definitely assigning penalties a lot quicker. This previous round, I don't know if that's going to be like that for the future. I don't know if they, because before you would see guys taking guys out and there was no penalty, and you saw that right away with Gardner being taken out and Bassani getting hit with that fine. I think he lost. I think it was 5 seconds or whatever he got or whatever. So like you watch the NBA and, there's a lot. I'm not sitting here saying you don't need them in World Superbike and MotoGP, and, we need them to be consistent. But I hope it doesn't become, guys, when you hit with a 6 second and you're running in second or third, you're holding up other riders at this point because you're in a place where it doesn't matter, but you still got to fight, right? For as much time as possible. So, hopefully they don't get the penalties, and the riders won't have to worry about it. But it's just one more thing to be tracking when you're looking at when you're looking at the rider and you're just like, oh man, he's so now he, I think that Top Rock had that happened to him as well, and he lost. I think he lost like one position or something like that, or whatever the case, maybe a two. There was another rider that got hit, but he had enough gap between him and the person behind him that it didn't matter. So those things play a part, but still, I hope it's not like, I don't want to see, like 15, 20 penalties in a weekend. You know what I'm saying? Because,
yeah, that's true. Well, there's one thing that is was in the back of my mind. You kind of like brought it up right there. I always had a problem with like how they judge or give penalties throughout the year. I like the consistency is what I want to see. As you know, as it gets closer to the end and things are more tight, penalties are a little different. And I just hope that we start off how we're starting if it continues the right way.
Right.
So
Right. I
always had an issue of how they make decisions on some riders, even in MotoGP last year, when I'm just like, well, did you see the beginning of the year when these riders took them out? You didn't give them anything, and now you want to make penalties to change the scenario of the season.
Exactly. which like I said, that we'll see what happens. And then let's get into the second race. Again, it was a fun weekend to watch. So I will say that.
Before you get into the second race,
All right.
what I thought was cool, as the races went on, like we talked about the new rules. How it didn't really matter where you finished, but if you had a fast lap, that would put you in a great position.
Right.
So I think that played a part into going into the Super Bowl and to race two,
Yep.
especially for like Top Rack and Albert Bautista. For a lot of people who were going to see as well. But yeah, race two.
No, I mean, Alvaro put it together, right?
I think so. He was running up front the whole time. So I think he figured out the weight ratio and the power.
Yeah. No, I think for him, he's gonna have to deal with a lot of other not a lot of other Ducati riders. I don't think Ononi's gonna go away. I think Sam Lowe's is probably gonna be right up there. Obviously, his teammate Bulaga, he won race one already, so he's sitting here saying, and who am I missing here? But Danilo Petrucci, right? So you got like five. So you got like five Ducatis that, as you saw, I mean, that can fight for the win, and these are riders that are fully capable.
Very capable. We all know.
Yeah. So Anoni is the only one. Maybe Sam Lowe's, because coming from Moto 2 took over what might have been an issue, but doesn't seem like it so far. He finished fourth in the second race. So I think for Alvaro, not only he's going to have to fend off Top Rock on the BMW for sure, and maybe Gerloff, maybe Vandermoor, Mark, maybe one of those guys, maybe, but definitely Top Rock. You got Alex Lowe's that he's going to have to fend off on the Kawi. But I think, but most of the time, he may just be fighting with other Ducatis.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, and it's all a mind game out there, though. You got to go and try to can't do a perfect weekend, but it just takes one rider to disrupt your, your momentum, and especially if you're trying to chase the front, it's so important to get a good start. And just looking at it now, Alex Lowe's got 50 points, and if we're talking to Alvaro, he's at 27.
Yeah,
not too far behind, but the chase is already there.
The chase is already there. And it's going to be, not to cut you off, and he's going to have to, I mean, for Alex Lowe, he got Nicola right behind him, so Bulaga right behind him, so he can't. He only has 9 points, right, that he has to play with. So, and if Alvaro didn't crash out, who knows where that would have been. So for Alex Lowe's at this point, he's going to have to do everything to hold on to that, and I don't know. It's going to be mighty hard.
Yeah, we'll see. When's the next round is March 22nd.
I was just gonna say that. Yeah, March 22nd is the next round in Cataluna, one of my favorite tracks as well. So that should be fun to watch. And we shall see. But no buts. We shall see. I wish they were closer together. That's all. Waiting that long is seems. I mean, for a rider, I assume it's just as long as a fan. But it's just kind of like, couldn't it be just 2 weeks away?
I know, and then it'll just be over too fast. But yeah, thankfully we got a lot more racing that we can attend to, watching, and not just wait until March 22nd, whole month away. But I must say it was a great race weekend.
Yeah,
to see it.
And let's talk about
World
SuperSport. Because we can't, Yari Montella, right?
Oh yeah,
wow. So he's up
50
points as well. I didn't expect to see that. I thought it was going to be Manzi and Schroeder. I didn't expect to see Yari do what he's done in the weekend. But again, the Ducatis, they look good out there. Even a young guy, what's his name there, Caricasulo, right? Because he's on the other duck. He replaced Bulaga, right? And he got on the
Yep.
podium in the second race. So, you know, I'm a fan of Ducati, so you know, I'm trying to be impartial here, but you know, it's only the first weekend. It's going to be a long season. Manzi is to me, Manzi's the front runner as far as because he was the I believe he was the runner up last year to win this thing this year. He's on a R6. And, you know, while the R6 is an awesome bike, I have one, you have one, you know, a lot of people around the world have them. You know, the V2 is the next generation bike. And, you know, same thing with the MV Augusta, same thing with the 765 Triumph. We can't wait for Yamaha to come out with their R9 and get into World, because I believe they're coming into World Superbike with that for 2025, I believe. So, you know, for this year, I believe they're just going to have to tough it out. And you saw how Manzi rode, man. You saw the kind of riding he had to do.
Yeah.
And it's similar to what, I mean, that's kind of his style, but it's similar to what Taparock was doing last year, right? That kind of riding, and where he's, you know, overriding, right? Because he has to, because, you know, the duck is doing things and pulling in places where the guy got to, you know, he got to create his own lines.
Yeah, that's why I can't wait for race 2. You know, just to see, you know, these guys perform at another track is, you know, um, yeah, just to see them perform another track. It's like, you know, we race at the same track most of the time, club racing, but it's so much fun just seeing the different results at a different track and who
Right.
can be the most consistent. So hopefully Manzi can step it up. I mean, it's one we're rooting for.
Right.
Like I said, Yari was riding.
Yeah. He was riding, definitely. And Schroeder too. Schroeder, like I didn't know what to expect. I mean, last year he was, you know, towards the end of the season, he was getting it together on the MV. But this year he's right out front. And, you know, he was strong in Moto 2 for a while. I think it was in the last couple of years, you know, he just kind of suffered a bit. But, you know, he's always ran strong prior. So it's good to see him running. I'm a fan of the MV Augusta. I mean, I think I'm a fan of Italian bikes in general. Maybe that might be what it is. You know what I'm saying? But I'm definitely a fan of the MV. Love to have one in my garage one day. So, and to see that 800, and you know, we know it's not the same. It's not on the same level as the V2. I think at some point it probably will get there, but it's not there yet. And you're seeing what they're doing. And even from last year to this year, I think the MVs jumped and made a good leap. And so I'm looking forward to that. So, you know, whether twin cylinder or 3-cylinder or V4.
Oh, I know it's race 1, but they're second place with manufacturer points behind, Ducati.
Yeah. Because you know, the MVs, man. You know, like I said, I'm a big fan of those bikes. And shout out to Ali Bayless, man, jacked up hand. Dude still finished, you know, top 10, top 7 for the weekend. And I think he had a mechanical in the first race. But the second race to ride like that, and know you got pins and screws all. I think he had like 13. I don't even. He has a lot of metal in his arm. And it's I think it's like a 3-week-old injury or something like that. So it's not even that old. And to go out there and run up front, I mean, you know, we always say what folks are made of and you know all that, but you do see it because, not to say it doesn't happen in other sports, but not like motorcycle racing.
I mean, that's if I had that, I'm just like, can I just take the couple months off till I'm good? But it's just the adrenaline, and I just give it to them, because if I went out there like that, I mean, I'm sure I'll give it my all, but there's a side that you're like, I can't push 100% because you know what you just went through. So it's really good to see that.
I think there's a level of, you know, I don't think we have been doing it long enough to be able to will ourselves to do that. Because you know what I'm saying, you've seen Rossi do it, you've seen Lorenzo do it, you know, you've Colin Edwards, you know, all the folks in the 80s, you know what I'm saying. So you're like, I don't know what it is, but like, you know, and don't get me wrong, there's football players. Once upon a time, you hear stories of some of these players. So there's some incredible people that has a high threshold for pain. They can still perform well and be in all type of pain. And not everyone is built like that, but it seems like there are a lot of motorcycle riders built like that.
We tough, man.
I remember
And
I only had one screw in my hand when I went out and started the next season. So it does happen, but not. I don't know if I had.
2 weeks later.
Yeah, 2 weeks later, you know what I'm saying. And again, I mean they're riding for a lot more than I'm riding for. So there's also that as well. But I mean it is to be forever cool, right? So you have to put yourself in positions of being uncomfortable to get there, because I saw a thing online. I forget what somebody was talking about. It might have been KG, and just talking about championships are not easy. It's not like you're not gonna come in here and everybody's gonna get along and we're gonna win a championship. You're gonna be on a team that you might not get along with players and coaches or whomever, and which is real in most things in life, right? Because you don't necessarily need to like somebody to work next to them to achieve at a high level. So it is getting yourself where you can be selfless, right? Because you hate this person that you're working with, but you got to pass them the ball, or you got to be shoulder to shoulder, and you still got to perform at a high level. They still have to perform at a high level, and so there's a respect, even if you don't like someone, when you can work together to achieve something great, and when it's over, still hate each other, but it doesn't get in the way, because there's a lot of people that let that get in their way, and they don't perform to the best of their ability, because I hate to say it like this, but the feelings are hurt.
Right. Yeah, no, that's big though. I mean, you can't let the feelings get in the way.
No, you can't. So for these guys and women to win championships, regardless if it's marathons or whatever, Olympians, it doesn't matter. The sacrifice is enormous. And 9 times out of 10, even when you sacrifice, there's only going to be only one winner, right? So
Right.
what I'm saying. So at the end of the day, I take my hat off to dude for going out there, and not just going out there and finishing last place, going out there and getting some points.
Yeah, sacrifice is real though. And the beginning of the season, you feel on 100%, but once it gets towards the end, things get tough, and that's when the real sacrifice comes out.
Yeah, no doubt there, man. So World Superbike did not let down one bit.
Nope. Even Top Rack, his bike had a malfunction, smoke all over the track, and there was some oil delays, and
from local races. They had and races cut short. I mean, because in the second race, it was only a 12-lap race, correct, or something like that.
Right.
So
something like that, yeah.
You know what I mean? So who knows if it was 20 laps, what would have happened, or 22 laps, right? This is, I mean, it's part of racing. It is what it is. You don't have control. There's a lot you don't have control over, and it's always an adjustment. From the pro level all the way down to club level. There's times that incident happened first thing in the morning, and no racing for the rest of the day. No matter how far you came from, how much you spent to get there. So that is part of racing, and usually when something like that happens, it's usually bad. So and it doesn't happen often, but these things do happen.
Yeah, like you said, what a great show for the weekend, and I was glad to be able to watch it, even though I had to stay up late sometimes. It just gave me something to watch on the weekend. It's just a good feeling.
Oh yeah, no, I soaked it all up. So, and it's the first run, so you know what I mean. It's exciting. I'm looking forward to MotoGP starts in a couple of weeks. I can't wait. So let's jump into MotoGP, and I think at this point everybody's going to be as healthy as they can be. We pray that no one hurts himself before the season starts, or through the season for that matter. But that's going to be huge. If World Superbike was this much fun to watch, and the talent of riders that are in World Superbike that we spoke about in previous episodes, at the end of MotoGP weekend, it literally is going to be it's going to set the tone for the whole. I think for the whole season.
Oh yeah. Um, I'm just ready to see the layout when they jump out there for the first P1, and I'm not sure if there's any new rules into play, um, like World Superbike.
Right.
But this year it'll be they can start the practice as the second wave instead of doing FP1, P2, because they switched that halfway through the season last
I
year,
got you.
the format, so they can have more of a focus at knowing that after FP1 they got to put down some serious laps, and
Yeah, I agree. And like I said, there's going to be the Marquez. It's going to be it's going to be
it's gonna be the
Ducati.
Marquez show,
It's going to
right?
be a Marquez show. It's going to be Ducati. It's going to be Ducati, KTM. I think
I mean, everyone's gonna have a show.
Yeah, exactly. I think everybody has an opportunity, but I really I do see Ducati, KTM, Aprilia jumping out, and the Hondas they suffered the last test, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. I think Yamaha is kind of. I think they need two more bikes on the grid. So I think for Yamaha and for Yamaha, Rins and Quartararo, I mean, I think they have the skill set that they're going to ride that bike to the best of that bike, right? They're not the best of their ability, but they're gonna get the most. Quartararo's been able to get the most out of that bike already, so I think that's going to happen. And Rins, he has a way to from Suzuki to Honda briefly. He's found a way to be on the podium. I mean, he might be one of 5 or 6 riders to win with 3 different manufacturers or more. So I do feel like the Yamahas has they have the right riders to put them in the best place to hopefully give them the best outcome. But I think that best outcome might be a top 7. You know what I mean? And that's respectful, right? And that's if and that's still respectful, right? Because obviously there's 8 Ducatis, there's 4 KTMs, and there's 4 Aprilias. So I mean, for me to say like they could be in a top 8 or top 7 is really good because they're in the mix.
Right. I do know one thing there at Qatar, and that has a very long straightaway that man, we'll see who's gonna run away.
I think the Yamaha has the power this year, but
You think so?
I think so, but I don't know if it's enough. Right? I don't
But you think I think Ducati's got more power too, I'm sure.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I don't know if it's enough. It's like the bikes are faster for sure, but I don't know if it's enough. I mean, and we'll see. We'll see what happens with Raul. I'm not ruling out those Aprilia guys, and the Aprilias have always been there. I think for them, the biggest issue is tire wear. Towards the end of races and stuff like that, and sorting that out. So, but it is going to be a fun season, and I can't wait for the lights to go out, as they say.
You have any predictions? Who's going to be on the podium? Top 3?
I'm gonna say Ducati 1, 2, 3. Pick any rider.
Well, I mean,
pick any rider.
Any rider.
Any Ducati rider. But
That's cheating. That's cheating.
It's gonna be top 3.
I mean, your odds is really high, man. You got 8 out of what?
Well, we'll think of it like this, right? Martin has something to prove. Pecco has something to prove. Marquez got they all, not to say none of the other riders don't, but the first loser is always bittersweet. So to finish second place at the end of the season, especially where it came down last race of the last round of the weekend and stuff like that. I think for Martin, I think he probably is going to have the most hunger. Marc Marquez got 8 titles. I'm not saying you lose that hunger, but he can look over his shoulder and know he got 8 titles, right? Martin has none. So for him, I think that's going to be the big thing. Pecco got 2, so if he doesn't get one this year, it's not an excuse, but nobody's going to sit here and say you're supposed to get 3 in a row, right? You see what I'm saying? So for honestly, for Pecco, he probably just enjoy and just does his best. Obviously, Ducati wants them to be top guy, but the hunger is going to be Bezzecchi, Martin. I think to a point. What's with Bezzecchi's rider now? I can De Gianantonio, right? I think De Gianantonio has something to prove because he got the seat because of what he did last year, but he has to still keep it for this year. You know what I'm saying? Alex Marquez,
Bastianini.
Bastianini guy.
He is a
He's fighting to stay in
lot to prove
MotoGP,
too,
right? I mean, no, seriously, he's
right?
fighting
Yeah,
to stay in MotoGP because where would he go? Next year if he doesn't stay on the factory bike, like, is he going to go down to Pramac?
yeah.
You know what I mean? I
That's tough.
agree. Like, where would he go? I mean, if a situation where Martin gets the factory seat, which I doubt, because Bezzecchi also has something to say about that factory seat as well. You know what I'm saying? So, and out of that whole Ducati riders, I mean, I can't believe Ducati would give Marc Marquez a factory seat. I don't care if he won at the end of if he won the title at the end of 2024. I don't see Ducati giving him a factory seat, right? Because they kind of move people up in a way. You know what I'm saying? Maybe Marc Marquez might go to Pramac or somewhere else, but I can't see that. So it's really like the seats either Bastianini to hold, or to lose to Martin or Bezzecchi. And again, they have to do what they did last year, right? So I mean, it's
Yeah.
not even to sit here and say, so they still have to do well. But I think those will be the front runners to take his seat. But I think if he wins, if he finishes, he has to be on the podium for how many rounds? 21 rounds. Bastianini would have to finish. I don't know. Yeah, he'd have to finish top 5 in at least more than half those races for him to save his seat. Like, he literally, you know what I mean? Like, he has to be, like, in a championship, he has to be top 4.
Yeah, top 4, top 5 for sure.
You know what I mean? So, and not to say he doesn't have the skill set for it, because he sure does. This is a straight bad luck what happened to him. But nonetheless, when you got people like Martin and Bezzecchi, it's going to be really hard for Ducati to be like, we're going to keep you, we're going to give you the seat. So like I saw a lot of these riders, man, they got contract. The only person's contract is safe is Pecco's. That's the only person's contract is safe at Ducati.
I agree to that. I agree with that. But I just hope it doesn't backfire on Ducati. Like, obviously they got all amazing riders, but they all the riders have a story, or something they're trying to accomplish, and there's so much pressure on all of these Ducati riders except for Pecco. I mean, Marc Marquez is putting pressure on himself.
Exactly. And
but Jorge Martin, like, he has something to prove. In what was you gonna say?
No, I was gonna say, and he's bringing a lot of revenue to Gresini by just being affiliated with them. So it's not like they're not losing money. So
yeah, so there's just so much pressure on all these Ducati riders to keep a seat and perform well, and it can only be one winner. You know what I mean? So, I mean, Ducati's gonna be up there because they have so much pressure on them. That's what I'm predicting, but it's just going to be interesting to see. I really hope Bastianini does well, because he was out for most of the season last year.
Yeah, same here.
And I just hope Jorge Martin calms down a little bit. I know Pecco's going to go into the season very smooth and like he knows what he's doing, and he's experienced. So he doesn't really try to like push for first every time. I don't think it just happens.
Right. I think that they've figured out the formula for the weekend. I mean, I think they've in the last year, definitely last year, maybe not the year before, because he came back down from 90-something points after the summer break, right? So, but the second one, I think they figured out something to where they start the weekend different. Or the same, I should say. They start the weekend the same way. They're not looking to be, at the end of the first round to be in the top 5 position. They don't care where they are in it, but gradually over the weekend, they just keep getting quicker and quicker. And then by the time it's time for quali, they're usually where they're supposed to be. And it's no fuss, no muss. You know what I mean? And when he's at, when he's finished last year, in the first round, practice one, FP1 or whatever it's called, he wasn't frazzled, right?
Right. He was in Q1, I think.
Yeah.
So
So, you know what I mean? I think that he, and some people have that. And, I don't know if it helped growing up or being around Valentino Rossi. I can't believe it would hurt. But, I think that meant having people around you like that will make you move differently than having people who have never won, 9 world titles, right? So,
so yeah. So yes, I can't wait to see this season start. And I mean, I'm sure we talk about Aprilia. I mean, Leish, I'm sure he's trying to end his career strong. I don't think this is his last year, but he said he was gonna
I think that if he finish,
retire by 35.
yeah, I think if he can finish in the top 10, top 8, he'll probably stay another year. I think it'll be really hard for him to stay another year if he doesn't. I don't. We'll see what happens with Moto2 riders coming up for next season, right? And also, who I mean, maybe Joanne Mir would go over to Aprilia. Zarco is going to stay with Honda and ride it out. I don't think he's going to change. I think he's going to be the rider and maybe turn into a test rider role down the road or whatever the case may be, because he could have signed 1 year with Pramac and he elected to go to 2 with LCR. Same thing with factory, right? I think he had that opportunity to ride Honda factory as well, but just based on sponsors and whatever, the better deal for him is where he's at. So I don't think he's going to leave Honda. Unless Honda doesn't want him anymore or something like that. So who are the other riders that would, what I'm saying? I don't know what Rin signed, if it was a 1 year deal or a 2 year deal, but he probably signed a 2 year deal with Yamaha. So I think so again, it will depend who's coming up next season. Aldegier is somebody that can jump on that Aprilia. So maybe Miguel or Raul moves up to a factory seat in Aprilia, and Aldegier comes in, because I mean, if he's riding this year like he rode the end of last year, some team is going to want him for sure. And the only seat that really Aprilia is the only place I can see him going right now, because I even believe that even Luca signed a 2 year deal with Honda on that factory seat, so it's not even a 1 year deal. So most of these riders coming in, maybe Jack Miller would, but I can't see KTM getting rid of Jack Miller either, because he still made them a top 5 team last year.
Yeah, he's an icon though. He's something that people will come to see. I mean, we all go to see the races, but
right.
It's his enthusiasm, his support. It's just some people like that. Like he sticks up for people.
Yeah, exactly. So
he's the toe guy. Like he'll pick someone if their bike's best out, push them back. Like he's, people like to see that type, and he's a fighter. So
exactly. So I really don't see much room. So I think for Aleix and maybe Miguel, because again, he's had a bad last couple of years. Most of the stuff that happened to him is not his fault. So it's kind of hard to get rid of a rider when it's not their fault, right? And especially what's been going on. So, but I think the only space that might be moving at the end of next season could be Aprilia. And I don't know. Like I said, I don't think Honda is going to do anything. I don't think Yamaha is going to give up either one of their riders. So it really would be, KTM already got too many riders. So you got Pole still sitting on the sideline waiting to get tapped in, right? You know what I mean? So I don't really see that as well. And, you had mentioned something about Ducati having so many different riders, and that could cause a problem. KTM could run in that problem if they have too many young riders, right? Because they got a rookie and a 2 year guy, and then they got their seasoned vet. So realistically, and not to say they don't have two of the best young guys, right? I mean, I'm not taking anyway from. I'm not trying to say those guys. If anyone can do it, those guys can do it. Between Fernandez and Acosta. But still, you'd want some seasoned riders that can develop the bike and grow
Right.
grow the technology side, or just the tech of the bike and building the bike and making the bike better.
Yeah, that's what I want to see. That's what I want to learn, like the technology side of bikes and try to make it improve. But we got to be in their seat.
Exactly. So,
I want to be a test rider.
right? Yeah, listen, man, you got, I don't know if you can walk on like some of these, you start out in the film team, like some of these basketball head coaches
Right.
now that word, like Eric Spoelstra and these guys that started out just watching film and working their way up. How do you work your way up to become a test rider in MotoGP or World Superbike without actually, racing, right?
Yeah. Right.
So, but
That'd be
I'm
that'd
sure
be the
somebody will do it one day. So, as you say, though, it's been the World Superbike amazing weekend so far. I'm looking forward to the same thing in MotoGP. I believe it will be. I'll go back on the record again. Predictions as far as I think it's going to be Ducati top three. I don't know which riders.
um I think there'll be two Ducatis up there,
Okay.
and a different manufacturer.
All right.
I want to say in Aprilia,
Huh?
and I say that because Maverick Vinales, I seen him win Qatar
Yeah.
before,
Yes.
and
Yes. Yes. And
for some reason that the races, the other tracks, like he does well, but I've seen him win Qatar, so
yeah. And
I
it's
could shoot for
go ahead.
Ducati in Aprilia. No, that's it.
And I agree. I think, we didn't talk about Maverick at all until now on the show today. And you're right. He does have a shot to win. I think he's the hungriest he's been. And, I think like Danny Pedrosa, what's his name? Miguel Oliveira, Bastianini, these guys that have had bad luck, right? And I think for Maverick, it's a little different bad luck, because just the time at Yamaha and having to change manufacturers and mid-season and all that stuff and getting where he's at. So I'm hoping he has some good luck this year. And because he's been so close, and and I know some people have said want to make it seem like it's him, and I don't think so, because it'd be one thing if you had one Aprilia in the top 5 all the time and it was the same rider or 3 of those bikes, but most of the Aprilias are struggling, so you really can't say it's this dude. You know what I'm saying? And last year, he rode better than Aleix did. So, I think that. So I hope this year he has luck, because I am rooting for the guy. I mean, the guy he's a stand up dude, from what I can tell. You know what I mean? And so it's like anyone that when people show love for riders that's fallen and stuff like that. I mean, to the point where he has a tattoo of riders and does these kind of things. Like he's Taka Nakagami that goes to the track and shows love to where his friend passed away and stuff like that. And that's, they do these with no cameras around, right? They do these things with, no camera around. It's just who they are. So he seems like a good dude. I don't know him personally, but I'm rooting for him this year. And if any Aprilia had to be in the top 5 consistently, I'm rooting for Maverick for sure.
Yeah, I hope he has a good year too, and I hope Aprilia has a better year. They had their ups and downs last year with a lot of technical issues and other issues that I probably can't really remember, but yeah, I hope they have a even solid season. I'd say.
And and let's not forget, we have an American team in MotoGP as well for the Aprilia.
Right.
So and a new team manager. Who used to, he won the world, Davio, who won the world title with Joan Mir and Suzuki. So he's and I believe with Rossi early on. So I think we'll see what happens with them. I don't know if this kind of turnaround that can happen in 1 year. He's been in MotoGP for a long time, so it's possible that team can really be in a good position at the end of the year. And I'm rooting for that because it's nice to see an American team in MotoGP.
Oh yeah, and
So,
that's that's good to see for sure, and I hope it helps to grow the sport. I
well,
mean, it is growing, but you know,
yeah, man. So yeah, man, we'll let's shout out the sponsors and you know we'll wrap it up because we got Moto America, the Daytona
I'm
200
gonna
coming
say,
up in a couple of weeks, so we got to do an episode and talk about that. So you know that
I
these
was gonna say
episodes are
this
going to
could
be
be a
coming out.
It's gonna be I don't know what to watch this upcoming weekend. I think the 200 and MotoGP is the same weekend, right?
Oh man, that's gonna well, you know, get two computers or two TVs or whatever, man.
Wait,
It's not gonna be the
But we
same
asked,
time, so that's gonna be the plus side.
yeah. But yeah, appreciate all the help from J&G Performance, Hideaway Rentals, Woodcraft Technologies, and Vortex for
Nice, nice.
always helping me when I need them.
No doubt. Definitely go check out those brands, people. And I want to thank everybody for liking and subscribing. Keep up the keep doing it. Keep the comments coming. We love it. Again, like and subscribe. Shout out to Workbench Technology. Go to workbenchtech.com. Shout out to a Camden Yard Clothing. Definitely get your latest gear at hyboston.com. And obviously, the show itself, B4evaKool. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Peace.
So